So obviously it's not your husband's.
I'm a terrible mother. Terrible.
With the release of Season 1 of I Hate Suzie back in August of last year, it didn't take long for fans of the show to express their anticipation for the second installment of the franchise, causing it to become one of the Sky Atlantic Network's most popular releases to date. And considering the twists and turns of the series, as coupled with the fantastic selection of cast involved in its success, it's really no wonder that Season 1 was later picked up by HBO Max. But what do we really know about Season 2 of the life and times of Suzie Pickles? And when can we expect to get our hands on the newest set of her adventures? Well, whether you're a fan of the show or just want to know more about the newest series to make waves across HBO Max, stay right where you are, as we're about to explore everything there is to know about Season 2 of I Hate Suzie. So strap yourselves in and get ready for an informative ride, as things are about to get exciting. But before we get into it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on any of the new videos we post. The renewal of Season 2. As we're well aware, after being in this precarious situation for over a year now, the onset of the global health situation has definitely had a lasting effect on the world. Not only did it result in many deaths and countless job losses, it also impacted the filming industry pretty drastically by shutting everything down until things had been curbed to a certain extent. And when the crew and cast were finally able to return to these sets, things were far from the same, with a number of rules and regulations putting a damper on the mood. And although there's no doubt that these new regulations were necessary to ensure the safety of everyone on set, the entire scenario resulted in more than a few bumps in the road, causing a number of shows to be delayed and miss their original release dates. Both streaming platforms and networks had their bottom lines impacted as a result, which has changed how much information the public is given about their favorite shows. Think of pre-global health situation, and you'll remember a time where the renewal of a franchise was communicated to us well before its first season aired. But with the financial trouble that is currently being experienced in this strange time, this is no longer the case. Networks and streaming platforms alike prefer to first ensure that the franchise is a success before going ahead with its renewal, which takes a few months to calculate. This is true regardless of how popular a show is. Bridgerton, for example, has been one of the winners of the year, but that didn't stop Netflix from taking a full month to consider when it should be renewed. And although I Hate Suzie was definitely one of the greatest releases of the Sky Atlantic Network last year, it's by no means an exception to this rule. It took just over 5 months for the network to confirm that the franchise had a definite future on both its own channel and HBO Max, communicating to fans that it had been renewed for a second season. This announcement was made on the 19th of February this year, which was a few days after fans learned that the show had been nominated for the title of Best Drama Series by the Broadcasting Press Guild Awards. And with anticipation for the second installment at an all-time high, fans have been asking when they can expect to see the second installment air, the release date of Season 2. But this answer is absolutely nowhere at the moment, which is once again mostly due to the overarching effects of the global health situation. Gone are the days where series release dates are confirmed well in advance, with both networks and streaming platforms having learnt their lessons for doing so last year. After experiencing a number of delays which had the effect of having to push back release dates constantly to the disappointment of fans, networks and streaming platforms alike decided to keep mum when it came to the announcement of future releases. The decision was made based on the feeling fans would prefer to be kept in the dark than have a release date constantly delayed, which is a sentiment that we can't help agreeing with. This has had the effect of networks and streaming platforms only announcing the release date of a series or film after both filming and post-production has wrapped, ensuring that the release date has no chance of being delayed any further. And since filming has yet to begin on I Hate Suzie Season 2, there's no doubt that a release date is nowhere close to being announced. This means that we'll have to look at the past to guesstimate when we can expect to see the second installment on our screens. Just keep in mind that this is nothing but conjecture. We know that Billie Piper, who is best known for her portrayal of the charismatic Suzie Pickles on the show, is not just an actor. She also has credits as the writer and showrunner of the series, and is thus a pretty reputable source when it comes to information on both its past and future. According to Piper, it took a full year for the first season of the show to be filmed and put together in post-production, allowing it to be released in August of last year. And since this was taking the delays of the global health situation into account, it's a timeline that we can definitely use to guesstimate the release date of Season 2. Piper has also been pretty vocal about when filming for the franchise is set to continue, which she has pinned down as being sometime towards the end of the year. In other words, if Piper is correct about filming starting at the end of this year, we can probably expect the second season of the franchise to be hitting our screens toward the end of next year. And while it's true that this is a pretty long time to wait, we'd rather not have Piper rush her writing for the second season. We want a roller coaster of drama after the events of Season 1 after all, and rushing could 100% ruin that. The cast of Season 2. Since she is both the lead actress, namesake, executive producer, and writer of the show, there's no doubt that Billie Piper will be returning in Season 2 to reprise her role as the one and only Suzie Pickles. But the troublesome child actor is not the only figure that we can expect to return to our screens when the second season picks up again. We can also expect Daniel Ings to be returning as Cobb Betterton, as although things are romantically over between the couple, they are still linked by their son Frank. And speaking of Frank, we can likely expect to see the young Matthew Jordan Cause return as well. Another incredible actress we can't wait to see more of is Lila Farzad, who is brought on to portray the role of Naomi, the best friend and publicist of Suzie, who worked so hard to get her life back on track. Season 2 will likely also see the return of Nathaniel Martello White as Carter Vaughn, Dexter Fletcher as Benjamin Detroit, Chelsea Edge as Valerie, Emma Smithen as young Suzie, Amanda Abington as Sharon Bander, and Juliette Cowan as Rose. There are, of course, many other actors and actresses that we have yet to name, but these are by far the most important ones set to return. The plot of Season 2. Absolutely no information has been released about the upcoming season of I Hate Suzie, which makes sense considering how it has yet to be written. That being said, it's not like that's going to stop us from guessing what we can come to expect from the upcoming installment. But to do so, we have to start by catching up on what took place in the first season. And that shouldn't be too difficult, considering how Season 1 was nothing more than a maniacal journey through the 7 stages of grief. What was great about the show was that this journey wasn't at all focused on the ending of her relationship with Cobb, which is how other shows often introduce their journey. It was rather based on the leak of her nudes, which is something that more and more celebrity women have to put up with in the technological society of today. After being introduced to Suzie Pickle, we discover that she used to be a child star who was made famous by a brilliant singing performance on an X Factor type show. She then decided to make her way into the acting industry, but found that she wasn't exactly the best at the craft, resulting in a few minor roles. What really propels her into fame is the leaking of her nudes online, which causes her to panic and attempt to get her life back on track without harming those around her. What is most important to Suzie is the mending of her relationship with Cobb and ensuring that her son Frank doesn't get tormented by the release of these pictures online. All the while, we see Naomi, her best friend and publicist, trying her absolute best to get Suzie's career back on track, which has already become a lot harder with the release of the pictures of her in pretty compromising positions. By the last episode of the season, viewers were able to witness Suzie having a public meltdown that was caught on camera, an ill-advised coke binge in a hotel room, an aggressive fight between herself, Cobb, Naomi, and her lover, as well as the eventual state of Suzie being 100% alone in the world. After trying so hard to forget about what has happened to her because of the leak, Suzie sits on her own and comes to terms with what she has done over the years, seeing the leak as something positive for the first time. She accepts what she has gone through, which brings a neat little resolution to all of her problems. So what does that say about the plot of Season 2? What do you think about the upcoming installment of I Hate Suzie? Be sure to let us know in the comment section below.